Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Five for Talking Tier List Land Edition. We are going to be re-ranking the team post All-Star game, but this year it's the Four Nations Cup. So after the break, and we'll be ranking them from Stanley Cup shot to not making the playoffs. We'll show you right now as we jump into this. I'm here with Caps, the captain of the show. Okay, I guess he's not here. Um, we're doing it live. So we have Cup Finals, which will be one team from each. We have Legit Shot, which will be three more teams from each division or each conference that have a shot at winning the Cup. So the Cup Finals is the two teams, one from each that we think has the best shot. The Legit Shot is three more teams from each that have a really good shot. The outside shot will be the other four teams we think that are probably a lock for the playoffs that could make it to the Cup from each conference. The playoff shot will be teams on the outside that could sneak into the playoffs potentially, and then out are teams that are out. Are you ready? The Colorado Avalanche.
Colorado Avalanche are a legit shot for me.
You have them in legit shot?
I have them legit shot.
Okay, I'm going to put them in legit shot for now, but I don't know if I'm convinced.
Fair enough.
Okay. The Chicago Blackhawks, I think we don't even have to talk about that. They're out. They're
Mhm.
contending for a first round pick. They're really bad, actually. Like in the way that we know Anaheim where they are and San Jose is kind of playing all right. Like Chicago's really bad.
Yeah, Bedard to me has regressed, but the team just looks like it's in shambles. And I believe, and I would assume that teams are going to be looking at Chicago to make some additions for a playoff push. So I don't see what this team that you're seeing now probably won't be together next year. So yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much, but
This is a question I have for you because I'm going to put this team in playoff shot because I think that they do have a shot at the playoffs. I don't think even if they get in the playoffs, I don't think there's any chance that they win the cup. They're kind of have a few injuries now, but based on what you're seeing from this team and the potential that they could be solid, do you sell at the deadline and try to fill in your gaps through the draft and in the offseason? Do you sell high on some of these players?
I mean, they're only a point out from a playoff
Yes,
spot.
but they will not win the cup. Like
No,
there's
I
almost
I, I don't believe so. I think you're right on that. That's a tough question. I wasn't prepared for that. I don't I don't think that they are sellers. I think they keep the team intact and make some additions for next year. But um, uh, I just I don't think they throw out the season by any means.
I don't think they will.
I think yeah, they definitely won't. I think that answers your question.
It did answer my question. Thank you very much.
But I want to hear what you have to say though.
I think they're gonna move a couple pieces. I don't think there's a reason to keep this specific lineup together. There's a few pieces you could move to that other teams will pay you for, and you can use the offseason to get some signings and draft because they're not going to win anyways. So like you don't need to make a push. If your team's going to keep playing good, let them play good, right? But there's no point in adding to your lineup, I don't think. I don't think there's a reason to go out and get players unless you're going to bring in Sidney Crosby somehow, which I don't think they will.
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis Blues, I'm going to go ahead and say they're out. But they're better than Chicago. In my opinion, there's only two teams in the West that have a chance at making the playoffs.
I think it is a little too low to leave for St. Louis Blues. They do have a slim chance, but I believe there's just way too many teams ahead of them to fight for that last spot.
The Boston Bruins, I'm going to say a playoff shot.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. I kind of put
I don't think they're an outside shot to win the cup. I think they're more of a team that's going to fight to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would agree with you on that. I don't see them making the playoffs, but they have a playoff shot. Yes.
I don't like even at this point. I think this might be my cutoff in the East, but I kind of want to say even Montreal has a shot at the playoffs.
Oh, we're only about what 4 points up.
Yeah, they'll be last for me.
I mean, this probably changes just before the season ends in terms of you know our tier list, but right now they have a shot to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Vancouver, I don't think has a shot at the playoffs.
Well, they're currently in a playoff
I know,
spot.
I'm just joking. They're no. I think they got to be. Do you think that they're a playoff shot or an outside shot?
I mean, that all depends on a few things. Quinn Hughes needs to come back. Demko needs to stay healthy, and Pedersen needs to find his game back. If those things don't happen, then that team goes down uh, a section.
Demko's
But
been really bad.
I don't think he's 100%.
But he hasn't looked good at all since he came out. I'll leave them here because we have to have 4 teams from each in this category, anyways. And the West is not super stacked. I think the Capitals have a legit shot.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't think we even need to negotiate that.
No,
New Jersey is a weird one for me
it is a weird
because
one.
I want to say legit shot, but I don't think they have a legit shot. If they need their team to be 100% healthy or they're not performing. Where like a couple of these other teams could be down a guy and they'll still do well.
Um, See, I'm looking at like who's ahead of them. Carolina, Washington. Those teams are really good, and I'm not saying Jersey is not, but compared to those teams, I just don't think Jersey can beat them. Um, and I'm fine with Jersey being at a high outside shot.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
I think the structure of this is I don't want to lock ourselves in. So I think we're gonna change the method of the way we were doing it, and it's gonna be the one from each in the cup finals, and then 3 from each in legit shot, and then the other categories don't have to be a locked in number.
Sounds good.
Because I think the East is loaded with outside playoff shots.
Yes.
Um like outside shots and playoff shots. There's just so many of them. The Ducks. I
I think they're out.
Yeah, the Ducks are definitely out. They're better than Chicago. Chicago's really bad, man. Chicago's really bad. Like San Jose is points say they're really bad, but their team is not that awful. They're like obviously we're not planning for them to make the playoffs, so don't get that in your head.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right because San Jose is in a rebuild. They are making moves to try and be better, and there's no expectations for them to make the playoffs. But with Chicago, they should be a little bit ahead.
Well, they should be a lot ahead. They should be somewhere close to a playoff spot by now.
Yes.
I understand though. I get what you're saying. The Calgary Flames, I think, are
That's a
better
tough
than
one.
all of these teams.
It's a tough one.
The
Yeah.
way that they're playing this season,
No.
they're one of the only 2 teams that are not in a playoff spot in the West that I think have a playoff shot.
And they're right behind Vancouver, which they're like 3 points out. They're right there.
Like I would borderline do this.
I can't do that right now. Yeah.
All right.
Just based on the fact that we have to have a certain amount of teams. And
Well, we don't anymore. Only in the top 2 we do.
okay.
But we'll reconvene later on those. We changed the formula for this point of the season, I think, because
Mhm.
it's not as cut and dry as it is at the start when you're guessing, and at the end when you kind of know what's going to happen. Philadelphia is out. I think St. Louis is better than Philadelphia, so that's literally what it is.
It's one of those teams that we get. I have no idea what they're doing.
They have no goalie. They're running a three goalie system, and none of the goalies are playing well. Vegas. I mean, yeah, come on. They're up here. They're probably I don't know. I think Colorado's behind both of those teams if you want my honest opinion.
Has your outlook changed on Vegas yet?
Not really. I don't
No.
think that they're like I don't think they're a world beater. I think that they're good.
Okay.
I think Washington's better than them, especially when you consider how stacked the East is. Carolina,
Carolina to me has a legit shot
that's fair. I'll give you that. It's probably like somewhere like this. Do you think they're better than Colorado?
at this point in time. Yes.
Fair enough. And I think if Rantanen figures it out, that could change everything.
Yep. And Freddie Anderson stays healthy. I mean,
Okay, so we're here at the New York Islanders. And once again, like I don't want to, but like I feel like they have a shot at the playoffs. Like they're around Montreal. I think they're probably the worst team of those teams. Even though Montreal in the standings is slightly behind them, I think they're worse than Montreal. If they didn't have
like
Sorokin in
neck and
net,
neck.
if they
You know
didn't
what I
have
mean?
Sorokin in net, the Islanders would be way in last place.
Yeah, they're like neck and neck, like in terms of points, games played, everything. Like they're just like it's you can flip flop them. It doesn't really matter. Yeah.
The Winnipeg Jets. I'm gonna just I feel like we have to put them at the top.
I was gonna say the same thing. I thought it was be too early to put them up at the top, but I was gonna put them up at the top anyway.
I
They're
think
just a
that
powerhouse team.
I think you have to. I don't even think it's negotiable at this point. If we
It's
you
just a
if you're
matter of staying healthy, sticking with the plan, and just like taking the things that they learned from last year and just applying them and just fixing it and just like making a go for it. And I think they have a legit shot.
fair, I think you got an outside shot here. My question
Um,
is, are they better or worse than the Devils?
I think I think this they're neck and neck. It'll be interesting to see what happens with a healthy Drew Doughty, because he just returned not too long ago. Um, this is a tough one, man. This is a tough one, and I have no problems if you put them ahead of Jersey because in terms of points, they're like
I think
right
that
there.
defensively, the Kings are like arguably the best team in the league. So
I have I would not make an argument with that. I just it's like Jersey's got the better goalie. But you know what? It's they're like at the same. They're pretty much the same. Yeah.
um for I don't even think Seattle has a shot at the playoffs. Like I know it's not impossible for them to make it, but if I'm being like if I'm trying to predict what's going to happen, I don't think that Seattle is making the playoffs.
Okay.
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay for me, and they're still playing well, but I still, in terms of what I see in the East, I think they are a high outside shot.
Like that or a higher?
Well, that's the thing. Would you consider them better than Jersey?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that you have Vasilevsky. That's already better than Jersey.
He's kind of regressed a little bit this year, eh?
Yeah,
In
come
my
on. He's
eyes.
older ish and
But
injured ish.
yeah,
The Leafs, listen, I'm not talking to you about it. I'm just doing it. Um, and they're better than Colorado and they're better than Carolina.
I don't think so.
Okay, they're better than Colorado.
I think McKinnon destroys everyone on the Leafs.
I think that the rest of Colorado is weak as shit and they have no goalie.
Yeah.
100% playing at full capacity Leafs is staying here for me. I'm not, you're not negotiating me out of this spot.
Okay.
The Oilers for me are somewhere also in here.
Um, you know what? We'll keep it there for now.
Okay. The Florida Panthers, like, we don't really need to talk about this. I think that's what we're both thinking. Okay, we'll leave it here and we'll decide later.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man.
We'll
That
leave it
is
here
a
and we'll
tough
decide
one.
later.
It's so funny. Like I don't recall the scores. Um, with the Capitals versus the Panthers. Like
Yeah.
I don't even I off the top of my head I don't even know what the season series is between those two thus far. But that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they made it to the finals 3 years in a row, but Washington just looks too damn good.
You're not wrong. Pittsburgh. I mean, in terms of what do you get when you look at this team? I think they're here because they're the biggest disappointment of all time, maybe. But realistically, they're probably like here.
I said it. I mean, playfully, I said in the beginning of the year that one of the shockers I was going to say was Crosby leaving Pittsburgh.
And one of mine was Pittsburgh doesn't make the playoffs, which is happening right now.
Speaking of shockers,
Listen, I got double shockers because I said Capitals were going to be really good this year, and I said the Senators were going to be good, and I said Pittsburgh was going to be out of the playoffs. So I hit 3. Nashville,
this is the other shocker.
yeah, they're out.
Damn,
They're
crazy.
listen. Can I tell you something?
Hmm.
You don't even have to believe me. Actually, they're like this. They're lower than this. Um, I've actually watched a few Nashville games randomly, and
I watched one in person.
did you? Oh yeah, you
Yeah,
did. And
Nashville versus Colorado.
what was the score in that game?
Nashville won in overtime.
Holy crap! Nashville sucks. Like they're actually really bad.
Nashville is, I mean, at this point, it's whatever. It's like it's the season's done. They picked it up in the last little bit, but because of what they did earlier on in the season, they're done.
I
They're
don't even
absolutely
see
done.
them as there's only 2 teams I see with a playoff shot. And
It's
if you want spoilers, this is the other Western team. And
yeah.
they're probably like here-ish in the rankings. I don't think any other Western team has a shot at the playoffs except for the teams that are already in the playoffs, in my opinion. From watching like the season and the way it's gone, like I guess you can slightly make the argument for St. Louis, but none of these other teams are making the playoffs.
Okay.
This is a hard one because they suck.
Can I say something though?
Go, you tell.
In the last little bit, they've actually been playing better.
They no, they
I
had a
think
little burst where they were playing better and then they fell off again.
yeah. I mean, if they can stay consistent with that little burst, um, I think they're playoff shot.
Yeah, I actually think I actually think I'd go outside shot
I mean, I was going to make an argument for that too, but
because I know Detroit is in the playoffs, but I don't think Detroit is a playoff team, which is our next team. I would put Detroit like here.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of teams in that area that are making a fight for a playoff spot. The only difference is we know that the Rangers are a lot better than this than what they've shown.
Yeah, which is
So
why
I
I
have
like
no arguments with what you've done with the Rangers and Detroit Red Wings.
I think let's say it came down to the playoffs, I would say the Rangers have a better shot at winning the cup than the Canucks do. So I think that's a fair assessment. Like Detroit could slip in, but even if they get in, I don't think they go anywhere. Where the Rangers could potentially upset someone from the 8th spot if they slide in. I mean, the Rangers could go on a tear and end up at the top, right?
It's a possibility. Yeah.
Buffalo sucks. We're not talking about it. They're the most disappointing team of all time, and they will stay in last place. Ottawa. I think they're like
Ottawa's
here.
a playoff shot. Like I think it's a tough one
I
because
think it's there.
if they go on a losing streak, they're up, and they can't afford that because there are a bunch of teams behind them that are just like on their ass. But even if they make the playoffs, I don't know what they're capable of doing while making the playoffs. That's just me.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't argue that.
Unless they play the Leafs, where they'll probably beat the Leafs.
I think I think that's good. I think they're better than Detroit. Like on paper, their team is a lot better than Detroit. San Jose, I'm gonna say here because even though they're lower in the standings, I think that they're less disappointing than Chicago or Buffalo.
Well, yeah, I guess but it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't matter. They're out. So here's where it gets weird. I think Dallas has an outside shot. I don't see Dallas as a legit shot. I don't like anything they've done this season. They seem very floppy. I don't care how many points they have. And I would put them like ahead of Dallas. I mean ahead of Tampa Bay.
that's a tough one.
I think they're better than Colorado, but you want Colorado to be up there, so I can't really argue that.
You know what? I am okay if you flip flop Colorado and Dallas. Is that
That's
better?
fairer to me.
Okay.
So this is where we're at right now.
Error?
This is where we're at right now. We have uh we have enough teams here to do 2 cup finalists, one from each. We have our legit shot categories filled out. Our outside shot, if we were doing another 4 teams, we only have 3 from each conference right now. But I do think that logic based, 2 of these other teams will obviously get into the playoffs, or one of these other, one Eastern and one Western would fill this spot, but I'm not comfortable picking any one of these to be a confident playoff team. Like anything can happen in the East. It could be any one of these teams that could make it to the East. And
Mm-hmm.
in the West, I'm very not confident. I don't care where they're ranked in Minnesota. Like
But you gotta remember, like,
I would say they're better than Ottawa, and the thing is they're gonna make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure Minnesota will make the playoffs. The problem is they're not, like, are they better than Vancouver? Like maybe the nipple hair better on like a paper
they're
of
still
looking.
missing Kaprizov, right?
Yeah,
Like you gotta look at the fact that they're doing something crazy right now without their star player. And when they did have their star player, they were really good. Um, you know, I probably put them ahead of, yeah, they're somewhere in the mix in terms of LA, Jersey right now. They're in there. Um, this is based on the fact of, what they've done in the playoffs. But I think they were really good this year, and I think they should be a little higher than that in my eyes.
well, how far up?
I think I think that they're definitely ahead of the Rangers right now. And I probably put them in between Jersey and the Kings, but that's just me, and you know, um, that's this is strictly opinion based because the Minnesota Wild have not really done that much in playoffs. So
Here or here?
I'm okay with that if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that. Um, so that the Western Conference is rounded out for the playoffs. They have their 8 teams. Like I said, the only 2 teams I really see that have a shot is Utah or Calgary in the West. I think the
Mhm.
rest of the West is the Eastern Conference is so much more competitive. Realistically, like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia on paper aren't like bad teams. Neither is Buffalo. So to have to fight for spots in the East is not going to be a fun time. Where it's like in the West, Nashville's playing like shit. Anaheim sucks. San Jose sucks. Chicago sucks. So you have 4 teams that you're guaranteed when you play them, you're probably going to win. Right?
Okay.
Like you might beat Buffalo, but they're going to put up a fight against you at least. Um, we need to pick a team to go up a spot. In the East, I'm not worried about the last playoff team. I think it could be any of these. So I'm good with just leaving it in playoff shot and being one short in the East. Because
So, sorry, are we moving one team up
no,
from the
we're
shot to
not.
cup finals, or
To
we're
cup,
moving
to
one?
cup,
What are we
yes.
moving? Okay.
You pick.
So I'm going to make an argument for Washington right now, even though this may change later on. But as of right now, the way they're playing, I think the Capitals are better than the Panthers, and I'm willing to piss
I'm
people off in comments.
I am going to allow you to have this for a reason. Because I think no matter what the circumstance is, Washington's ride through the playoffs is going to be far easier than Florida's will be. Florida's going to end up with either the Leafs or Tampa Bay, and then going to have to face the Leafs or Tampa Bay in the next round, and then have to face probably Washington. So, where Washington is like, they're better than Carolina, and they're better than like, Washington's better than everyone in the Atlantic. It's not even like close.
But I think Carolina puts up a better fight than Jersey. But I see your point in terms of the Metropolitan.
But just remember,
Uh,
the Capitals are most likely going to have to face Ottawa or Detroit or Boston in that
yeah,
first round, which is not going to be the hardest series you've ever seen in your life.
I think Florida has a harder time with Tampa than they do with the Leafs if the Leafs even make it that far. But sorry, I'm being a little realistic. I'm not even saying negative.
I will give you this,
Realistic.
but Florida's still going to be my number one in legit shot.
Yeah, no, that may change for me, like with our pre-playoff tier list. But right now, in terms of what they've shown me, I think Washington's just a bit better right now than Florida.
And that's fair. So in any year you want to point at the Leafs and say they played good, they played good. They have the best defense they've had for this entire era of this team. They have the best goaltending they've ever had for this era of this team. And they
Mhm.
still have all of their main core that they started with that we said this team was really good. So for
Which
me,
really they need to step up in the playoffs because they really haven't shown me.
I think legitimately I would have the Leafs like here.
I,
But
I that you know what it's I like what you did there because that is our expectation of where they should be at right now.
yeah, but they're not
But
there yet.
they're not there. They're just based on what I've seen lately, they're just not there. And we'll see what happens pre-playoff tier lists.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else. You got anything else?
No.
All right, guys. Thank you for watching and tell us that we're wrong in the comments because most likely we are wrong to you, but in real actuality, we are correct. Goodbye.